From black holes to a tainted atmosphere to the arrival of an anti-god, there are many potential ways that the world can come to an end. And in this iceberg video, that's exactly what we'll be exploring. Some of these world-ending events could be very real, sometimes weird, and especially disturbing to think about. But of course, I will do my best to cover each and every one of these world-ending events with as much information as I could possibly provide. And of course, I have to give credit to Rebo Zariah on Reddit for creating this iceberg in the first place. And with that said, let's get into it. Starting off with tier 1, the tip of the iceberg. Supervolcano. A supervolcano, also known as a super eruption, is an extremely rare and catastrophic geological event. While a supervolcano eruption might not completely eradicate all life on Earth, it could lead to a mass extinction event, and many species would likely go extinct due to the combination of direct and indirect effects, such as global temperatures dropping, all of plantation dying, and agriculture failing. In the case of Yellowstone's volcano erupting, it's estimated that the entire world will run out of food in just over 2 months. Pandemic. A pandemic caused by a highly contagious and deadly pathogen could have devastating consequences for human civilization, as it can result in a significant loss of life, disrupt our daily lives, overwhelm healthcare systems, and strain supply chains. And of course, this could cause suffering, social unrest, economic downturns, and just have many long-lasting effects on mental health and education. Sun death. The eventual death of the sun, which is expected to occur billions of years in the future, will have catastrophic consequences for the Earth and all life on it. It won't be ending the world immediately, but it will make it unlivable. You cannot live on the Earth at that point. And how it gets to this point is basically by explaining that the sun is in its main phase where it fuses hydrogen into helium in its core. And as time passes on, it exhausts this hydrogen and it expands, eventually expanding into a red giant. And this red giant, which is like a huge ball of fire, will engulf and incinerate all of nearby planets, including us. And this is why we won't be able to live on the Earth at that point, and by proxy, causing an end of the world event. Global anarchy. Global anarchy is basically the lack of a system or government. And if this were to happen, people over the world would engage in conflict without any mediation, just no thinking. We would all get into fights and there would be no laws for us to follow, no orders, no systems. We'd all be running rampant, doing whatever the hell we want because there's nothing that can stop us. And eventually people would get their hands on nuclear weapons, things of mass destruction, or people would just hurt each other. A global anarchy is an easy way to end the world because it just gives everybody access to everything, combined with the fact that there are no systems or authorities to enforce consequences. Deep impact event. A deep impact event, or in other words, an asteroid or a comet colliding with Earth, has great potential to cause widespread destruction and catastrophic consequences, being the equivalent of multiple nuclear bombs wherever the impact lands. The environmental consequences would be causing copious amounts of dust and debris to be pushed into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and causing trouble for all ecosystems on Earth, climate change, tsunamis. It would just be insane. Although it is unlikely to end the world, it would do massive damage to it and likely cause huge unrest wherever it lands. Global warming. Driven by the accumulation of greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere, it can lead to catastrophic consequences for all of human civilization. As the Earth's temperature rises, it triggers a range of impacts such as frequent and severe heat waves, extreme weather events, and rising sea levels as time goes on. And this, of course, can result in food and water shortages, increased health risks, and economic instability. We're all aware of this because of how the icebergs and, Antarctica's been melting due to global warming. So we can see how it's been impacting the world in real time, and it could potentially end it. Nuclear warfare. The large use of nuclear weapons in a conflict could obviously have catastrophic consequences for us, and it could even end the world as we know it. From the radioactive fallout from the nuclear explosion, plus causing tons of casualties, and the long-lasting health and effects from the radiation, and worst of all, the potential nuclear winter scenario where the debris and aerosols are released into the atmosphere blocking sunlight, which leads to a significant drop in global temperatures, and this will just destroy most of agriculture in the world. The consequences of nuclear warfare could be so devastating that it would permanently change the world as we know it, and it's an extremely undesirable scenario for everybody to avoid at all costs. With that, we conclude Tier 1 of the End of the World Iceberg, and now we'll be moving on to Tier 2. An errant black hole. An errant black hole is a scenario where a massive black hole drifts into the solar system and comes into close proximity with the Earth, having catastrophic consequences for our planet and, of course, us. Due to the gravitational influence of the black hole just passing next to us, it will cause extreme tidal waves, geological upheaval, massive earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. It would do so much damage to the Earth, but there is a chance that people can survive it. Of course, this entry is only speaking about if a black hole were to pass by us and not actually directly make contact with us. Supersolar flare. A supersolar flare is an extremely powerful burst of energy and radiation from the sun. And what this can do to Earth is disrupt and damage electrical grids, communication systems, and satellites. It can also lead to widespread power outages, loss of communication, just destroying transportation and navigation systems. And the radiation from it could pose health risks to everybody on Earth and even astronauts in space. Megafauna. A sudden reappearance of extinct megafauna, such as mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and giant ground sloths, could have significant ecological and environmental impacts on the world. These events could disrupt ecosystems and lead to changes in biodiversity, distribution of plant species, and competition for resources. It could also create challenges for modern human civilization in terms of coexistence and land use. Of course, the extent of these consequences would depend on the scale of how many come back and what comes back, and how we decide to handle it, which is actually an ongoing debate and discussion amongst scientists and policymakers. Grey Goose scenario. The Grey Goose scenario is a hypothetical situation in which self-replicating nanobots or nanomachines designed for beneficial purposes go out of control and begin replicating uncontrollably, consuming all matter they encounter. In a scenario where the nanobots destroy the world, the rapidly multiplying nanobots would assemble and consume everything in their path, leading to the complete breakdown of ecosystems and the destruction of all life as we know it. And of course, this could extend to infrastructure, natural resources, and the very foundation of human civilization, leaving the entire world covered in gray matter and just unrecognizable. You definitely know what a zombie apocalypse is. Rogue planet. A rogue planet is a term to describe a planet that does not orbit a star. For example, in our solar system, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, planets like those, they all orbit the sun. However, a rogue planet, also known as a free-floating planet, doesn't have a parent star. Instead, it just drifts through space on its own. And of course, the way the rogue planet would end our planet is simply by colliding with it. Two planets colliding would destroy both of them. An alien invasion. You definitely know what an alien invasion is. Gamma ray burst. A gamma ray burst is an intense and highly energetic astrophysical event involving the release of gamma ray radiation from deep space. These can usually originate from the collapse of massive stars or just other insane events in the universe. The only way that a gamma ray burst could actually end the world would be for the gamma ray burst to be aimed right towards Earth. The intense radiation from such an event would have devastating effects on the planet, such as severe damage to the ozone layer and disrupting the Earth's atmosphere and climate. But the likelihood of this ever happening is extremely low. AI revolution. The idea of an AI revolution where artificial intelligence reaches a level of sophistication and autonomy that significantly impacts human society and potentially leads to a world-changing event is a subject of debate and speculation. But as of now, of course, the only way that AI revolution could end the world is in those theoretical events where the AI gains sentience and ponders its existence and wants to rid humanity, basically like all of those Terminator movies you've seen. An internet collapse is a complete and prolonged breakdown of the global internet infrastructure. Although it wouldn't end the world in the traditional sense, it would disrupt nearly every single aspect of contemporary human society. Since the internet is deeply integrated into almost everything we use, from healthcare to education to government services, an internet collapse would have significant social and economic ramifications, even if this were to last for 5 minutes. But of course, the scenario where this ends the world is going to be where the internet completely shuts down permanently and we don't know how to handle it, and thus we all just make the worst decisions possible. Incidental asteroid redirection. Incidental asteroid redirection is a concept that involves an asteroid's trajectory being unintentionally altered as it passes in close proximity to Earth. Such an alteration could occur due to gravitational interactions with Earth or other celestial objects, leading to a slight change in the asteroid's path, and this would guide it towards Earth, potentially causing a world-ending event. The Second Coming. The second coming of Christ, as foretold in the Bible, happens on Earth as the world is finally ending. For this entry specifically, it's not Christ ending the world, but I believe his return signifies and confirms that the world is ending in that very moment. This concludes Tier 2, and as we enter into more dark and obscure subjects, I'll be going over Tier 3. The Rapture. The concept of the rapture, as understood in some religions, does not typically involve the end of the world in the sense of complete annihilation of the planet or all life on Earth. Instead, it's seen as a theological belief about the transformation and separation of believers from non-believers. According to the rapture belief, it is the moment when faithful individuals, both living and deceased, are believed to be taken up to heaven to be with Christ, and those left behind on Earth would face a period of tribulation and apocalyptic events, as described in some interpretations of biblical prophecies. Simulation shutdown. Simulation shutdown is a hypothetical scenario in which our reality is revealed to be a simulated construct, and then this simulation is by proxy terminated. In a simulation shutdown scenario, the consequences would depend on the nature of the simulation itself and if we have a controlling entity watching over us. If our reality were indeed a simulation and it were to be shut down, it would just instantly lead to a complete and sudden end of our perceived reality, with implications for the consciousness and existence of all sentient beings within the simulation. The Big Freeze. This is also known as the heat death of the universe, and in this scenario, the universe continues to expand at an accelerating rate, causing our galaxies to move farther apart, and over extremely long time scales, the universe becomes increasingly cold and dark. Stars will burn out, and the universe's supply of hydrogen fuel for new star formations will become exhausted. As a result, temperatures throughout the entire universe drop to near zero, and all physical processes eventually come to a halt. In this state, the universe becomes a dark and cold void with minimal activity and energy, basically freezing us and everything else to death, and that's what it will be for all of eternity as we become even more and more frozen due to the universe just continually expanding. The Big Rip. The Big Rip is a hypothetical cosmological scenario in which the universe's expansion accelerates to such an extreme degree that it tears apart not only galaxies, but stars, atoms, and even subatomic particles. This will be a catastrophic and world-ending event because it will result in the complete destruction of all matter and structures in the universe, eventually leaving behind an increasingly empty, desolate, and chaotic universe with no structure or matter remaining. The Big Rip is one of the most extreme and apocalyptic scenarios for the future of the universe and on this iceberg. It should be much lower. Strangelet. A strangelet is a hypothetical subatomic particle composed of quarks, this meaning protons and neutrons. This is a very complicated scenario to explain, so I'll just simplify it. The idea behind this concept is that if a strangelet were to come into contact with normal matter, it would be able to create a chain reaction, converting this ordinary matter into what's called strange matter. And in this scenario, the strangelet could grow and consume all matter it encounters, essentially transforming Earth into a lump of strange matter, of course having catastrophic consequences for all life on it. Very wonky entry, but I hope that was enough to explain it properly. Rogue experiment. So rogue experiment refers to an event in the future where our experiments just go so far and crazy that we eventually create an organism or a disease that's just unstoppable with the intention of destroying the entire world. A man-made black hole would just obviously have catastrophic consequences for the world. If somebody had their hands on a black hole, it's bound to go off. And if you're not aware of what a black hole actually is, it's a region of space where gravity is so intense that nothing, Not even light can escape its gravitational pull. If we were to create one artificially, it would obviously just cause a great risk and lead to the end of the world. I mean, even if it were tested out, it could probably end all of us. So us creating a man-made black hole is a end of the world scenario. A time paradox. A time paradox is a situation where an event or action in the past would contradict or disrupt the flow of time and consistency of a timeline. Time paradoxes are classified into several types, but usually we talk about the grandfather paradox here, and this suggests that traveling back in time and altering a past event would lead to a contradiction where one's own existence is threatened, and if not resolved, such a paradox could have unpredictable consequences, leading to disruptions in the course of history or even the end of the world, as it just ruins the consistency of the entire timeline. Vacuum decay. A vacuum decay is the idea that our universe is currently in a metastable state, and at some point it could transition to a lower energy state. And what this does is change the fundamental properties of our universe, and this could lead to the formation of bubbles with different physical laws and characteristics. These bubbles, expanding at nearly the speed of light, erasing everything in their path, making it impossible for even matter, stars, and life as we know to persist. And this is one of those scenarios that's completely unwinnable. If this happens, we're done. A polar reversal. A polar reversal is when the Earth's magnetic poles switch positions. This process occurs over an extended period, and it's just when the Earth's magnetic field weakens, flips, and gradually rebuilds in the opposite orientation. This has happened a couple of times during Earth's history, but it's pretty infrequent and it happens over a long time, so honestly, it's quite unlikely to end the world. The singularity. The singularity envisions a point in the future where technology accelerates to a level where humans may upload their minds into supercomputers, potentially leading to significant changes in both human existence and the world. While this doesn't guarantee the end of the world, it does raise questions about the potential consequences of such an event. Chuck Norris. So this refers to a joke from about 10-15 years ago about this actor named Chuck Norris, and he played a lot of famous, very powerful martial artists in old films. People used to say that he would have like the power to destroy the world in one punch if he got serious. So that's just a joke entry about him potentially ending the world with one flick of the finger. The third impact. So this is a reference to Evangelion, and what the third impact is inside of that series. It's the third of 3 major events on Earth involving the intervention of the first ancestral race. The purpose of the third impact was to achieve human instrumentality, the merging of all of humanity into one single life form. With that, we end Tier 3, and now we'll be entering Tier 4. The arrival of an anti-god. The arrival of an anti-god is generally a theme explored in mythology, folklore, and science fiction. It typically involves a powerful malevolent being that opposes the principles associated with gods or a higher power. In such scenarios, the arrival of an anti-god could lead to a world-altering event, including chaos, destruction, or existential threats. But for this iceberg, the explanation is that we potentially summon an anti-god from another dimension due to advancements in technology and foolishness, expecting it to be benevolent. A core malfunction. A core malfunction typically refers to a catastrophic failure in the Earth's core, which is responsible for generating the planet's magnetic field and maintaining geological stability. In such a scenario, a core malfunction can lead to a cascade of devastating consequences, including disruption in the magnetic fields, instability in tectonic plates, increased seismic activity, and volcanic eruptions. These events could potentially have catastrophic effects on the world, impacting all of ecosystems, infrastructure, and human society. And depending on the severity of this malfunction, it can of course end the entire world. Parasitic assimilation. Parasitic assimilation refers to a hypothetical scenario where parasitic organisms or entities progressively infest and assimilate the life forms or ecosystems they infect. In our case, humans and society itself. In such a scenario, a parasitic assimilation event would result in the collapse of ecosystems, extinctions of species including ourselves, and widespread ecological disruption. If this process were to escalate and expand globally, it could lead to the deterioration of the planet's biodiversity, food chains, and natural balance, with of course profound consequences for the entire world. Lunar impact. A lunar impact occurs when an object from space like a meteor or an asteroid crashes into the moon's surface. And if an extremely massive object such as these were to collide with the moon, it could generate a significant explosion and send debris flying into space. And this debris could theoretically reach Earth and cause problems like meteor showers. With all of these circumstances being required for it to actually happen, the chances that these meteor showers come to the Earth and end it is just exceedingly low, and it's not something we would actually have to worry about. Hell invasion. The concept of a hell invasion typically arises in religious or mythological narratives, and more commonly in the works of fiction, where a realm of torment or punishment is depicted as infiltrating the human world. In such scenarios, this invasion would bring malevolent, otherworldly entities such as demons to Earth, potentially leading to devastating consequences. Hostile takeover. A hostile takeover refers to the hypothetical scenario where humans or human-like life forms possessing superior technology or attributes attempt to seize control of the entire world. In this scenario, the consequences would largely depend on the intentions and actions of these superior beings. If their takeover involves hostile or aggressive actions, it could result in widespread conflict, social disruption, and potential destruction of existing societies and ecosystems, significantly altering the world's existing state. The Happening is a cinematic concept that was popularized in the movie called The Happening by M. Night Shyamalan. This describes a mysterious event in which people in certain regions begin acting irrationally, in some cases, even committing self-elimination. It's revealed that these disturbing occurrences are linked to a natural toxin that triggers self-destructive behavior in affected individuals. And in the context of the film, due to all this self-destructive behavior going on, it caused panic, chaos, and societal breakdown all over the world. Ultrafauna. Ultrafauna refers to creatures that possess extreme and often otherworldly characteristics, surpassing the usual limitation of size, abilities, or physiology seen in the animal kingdom. The event in which ultrafauna end the world would be these very same creatures coming to Earth and crushing it like a mere blueberry. Cthulhu Awakens. Cthulhu is a fictional cosmic entity from H.P. Lovecraft's horror literature. It's depicted as a colossal ancient malevolent being that lies dormant beneath the ocean. In this fictional narrative, Cthulhu's potential to end the world is linked to its terrifying and destructive nature. Cthulhu is often portrayed as a harbinger of madness and chaos, and if awakened or released, it has the potential to induce widespread insanity, cult worship, and catastrophic events. Some narratives suggest that Cthulhu's mere presence could lead to the unraveling of the world as we know it, causing societal collapse and widespread destruction. Alternative humanity. In the scenario where humans from a parallel world come to take over our planet, the potential consequences for our world could be significant and disruptive. It's quite similar to hostile takeover, however in this case, humans will come from a parallel Earth rather than another Earth or galaxy or universe. And with that, Tier 4 ends, and we will be entering Tier 5. Tainted atmosphere. A tainted atmosphere refers to a scenario in which the Earth's air becomes significantly contaminated or polluted. This contamination can result from various sources, such as industrial emissions, vehicle exhaust, deforestation, and other human activities. The consequences of a tainted atmosphere can be far-reaching. It can lead to decreased air quality, which would have detrimental effects on human health, and it can also have adverse effects on ecosystems, leading harm to plants, animals, and overall biodiversity. Fantastical uprising. A fantastical uprising is a concept in which characters or beings from the realm of fantasy enter our physical reality. In this hypothetical scenario, the effects would be world-changing. It would lead to a blend of the fantastical and real, where the laws of nature are disrupted, mythical creatures come to life, and the boundaries between fiction and reality blur. And we would have to grapple with the presence of beings from fantasy literature, mythology, or folklore, and all of the havoc these same characters would bring upon the world. Cognitive massacre. An object that instantly makes your brain break down upon sight is displayed to the world to see through the internet or other devices such as television. Eldritch invasion. Eldritch invasion involves the hypothetical scenario of otherworldly and incomprehensible cosmic entities breaking through into our reality. These eldritch beings would bring chaos, madness and existential dread to the entire world. And their entry to our reality might disrupt the laws of nature and challenge the limits of human comprehension. The effects could include widespread insanity, the distortion of reality, and the unraveling of societal structures. Humanity would find itself helpless in the face of these entities, leading to a nightmarish world where familiar norms and reality itself are no longer recognizable. Earth stops spinning. If the Earth were to suddenly stop spinning on its axis, it would result in catastrophic and world-altering consequences. The planet's rotation plays a fundamental role in maintaining the equilibrium of various natural processes and environmental conditions. Stopping the world's rotation would lead to dramatic changes in temperature, with one side of the Earth exposed to continuous sunlight and extreme heat, while the other side would plunge into perpetual darkness and extreme cold. The resulting temperature extremes would make much of the planet uninhabitable. Also, the sudden stop in the Earth's rotation will disrupt the planet's magnetic fields, which shields us from harmful cosmic radiation. Without this protection, increased levels of radiation would threaten all life on Earth. Furthermore, the abrupt cessation of the Earth's rotation will lead to massive tectonic and seismic activities, including powerful earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis, which results in a widespread destruction of the planet. Time collapse. A time collapse is a hypothetical scenario where the fabric of time itself disintegrates or experiences a breakdown. In a time collapse scenario, the very foundation of cause and effect, as we understand it, would unravel. Past, present, and future would no longer be distinguishable, leading to chaotic and unpredictable changes in the course of events. The laws of physics, along with our understanding of reality, would absolutely break down. This could also result in widespread existential confusion, as the fundamental structure of the world as we know crumbles. Hyperintelligent disease. A hyperintelligent disease is a speculative concept that envisions a disease or pathogen with an extraordinarily high level of intelligence, adaptability, and virulence. In such a scenario, this disease would possess the capability to outsmart medical interventions, evolve rapidly, and potentially pose a significant threat to humanity and the world. The consequences of a hyperintelligent disease would be severe and disruptive, as of course it would lead to difficulties in even handling the disease, making medical and public health measures ineffective. This disease might also adapt to changing conditions and treatment methods, potentially leading to outbreaks with high mortality rates. It could also have profound social, economic, and healthcare implications as society struggle to cope with a highly intelligent and adaptable pathogen. Take the disease we had a couple years ago and ramp it up to a hyper-intelligent organism, and it could result in the end of the world. Infernal Purge. The Infernal Purge is a concept where a malevolent force appears onto the earth and completely cleanses it of all life. But in this iceberg specifically, it's supposed to represent the event where every single human partakes in mass violence for any reason, resulting in pure madness and bloodshed painted across the entire world until humanity has eliminated itself completely. Dimensional shattering. Dimensional shattering is a speculative concept involving the catastrophic disruption of the boundary separating different dimensions or parallel realities. In this scenario, it could potentially end the world by triggering the merging or overlap of distinct dimensions or realities. This collision of realities might lead to unpredictable and surreal phenomena. As the fundamental laws of one dimension interact with those of another, the consequences could include the appearance of bizarre and otherworldly entities, the distortion of the laws of physics, and a profound challenge to the human understanding of the universe. These extraordinary and disruptive events could culminate into a world-altering catastrophe, potentially ending the world as we know it. Thaumaturgic Revolution. A thaumaturgic revolution is a hypothetical scenario involving the widespread and transformative emergence of thaumaturgy. This meaning the performance of miracle or supernatural feats through the use of magic or supernatural powers. In this concept, a thaumaturgic revolution could potentially end the world through a series of profound and far-reaching consequences. If this revolution were to occur, it would lead to the uncontrolled use of powerful supernatural abilities by both individuals and groups. And it can also lead up to the emergence of godlike beings, the distortion of natural order, and existential threats to both humanity and the world. The uncontrolled and potentially destructive use of thaumaturgy would lead to a world-ending event marked by chaos, devastation, and the collapse of the known order. Rogue reality bender. A rogue reality bender is a hypothetical scenario where an individual with the ability to manipulate reality or alter the fundamental laws of the universe goes rogue, using their powers in a disruptive and potentially destructive manner. The actions of a rogue reality bender could potentially end the world through a series of profound and chaotic consequences. If a rogue reality bender were to misuse or abuse their reality altering powers, it would lead to disruptions in the fabric of reality and the laws of nature. And of course, this results in extreme and unpredictable phenomena, such as the creation of unstable and hazardous alternate realities, the manifestation of destructive forces, and the collapse of societal and environmental stability. The uncontrolled and potentially malevolent use of reality bending abilities could have catastrophic consequences, leading to a world-ending event marked by chaos, disorder, and existential threats to humanity and the world. And with that, we conclude Tier 5, and we will now be entering Tier 6. The Awakening. The Awakening, in the context of Azathoth, a cosmic entity in H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, refers to the hypothetical scenario where Azathoth becomes conscious or stirs from its dormant state. According to the Lovecraft mythos, Azathoth occupies a unique position at the center of the universe. In this cosmology, reality itself is believed to be Azathoth's dream, and the universe exists within the boundaries of this dream. If he were to awaken, the consequences would be world-altering, as the fabric of reality would be disrupted. Since all of existence is considered to be part of Azathoth's dream, his awakening would signify the end of this dream, and the collapse of this dream would obviously mean the collapse of our reality, thus ending the entire world. Evaporation. I believe that this is in reference to a creepypasta where all of the water in the world was instantly evaporated, and humans have become so desperate to consume any form of liquid that they begin to hunt one another down and consume each other's blood. Quantum non-existence. Quantum non-existence is a speculative concept that envisions the possibility of events, objects, or even entire realities not existing due to quantum phenomena or quantum mechanics. In this scenario, the consequences would be world-altering. If quantum non-existence were possible, it would imply that at the quantum level, particles and events might not follow the principles of classical physics. This could result in the selective disappearance of objects, events, or even people, leading to unpredictable disruptions in the fabric of reality. The effects could include the emergence of alternate realities, the erasure of key events from history, and the reshaping of entire timelines. Quantum non-existence seems to be an entry that's an extension of time paradoxes, and what I mean by this is, if you were to time travel and somehow change the events of history, quantum non-existence seems to refer to the piece of history that's been erased or changed due to your influence from the time paradox. Is essentially pondering on what happened to that piece of timeline that was changed. Mimetic pandemic. A mimetic pandemic is a hypothetical scenario where viral ideas, beliefs, or cultural phenomena spread rapidly across a population, often through the transmission of memes and information. Essentially, a mass psychosis. And obviously, the world-ending consequences and the potential of it from this depends on what's being spread or what ideologies are being spread and what those ideologies lead us to. Necrosociety. A necrosociety is a speculative concept that envisions a society or civilization characterized by death, decay, or the undead. If a necrosociety were to exist, it would be marked by the presence of the deceased or undead as a significant part of daily life. The effects might include the breakdown of societal norms, the emergence of macabre customs, and the transformance of governance and societal structures. This could lead to existential threats and profoundly a different world, where the living coexist with the undead or undead in ways that challenge the human understanding and norms. The way this could lead to the breakdown of the world would be by challenging our values, the emergence of a potential existential threat, and the destabilization of the world as we know it. The Flesh That Hates. SCP-610, also known as The Flesh That Hates, is a fictional concept within the SCP Foundation, a collaborative creating writing project. In the SCP-610 narrative, it is described as a contagious, anomalous disease that transforms its victims into grotesque, fleshy monstrosities. The infection is often associated with body horror and cosmic horror elements. The potential world-ending consequences of SCP-610 lies in the rapid spread of the contagion and the transformation of individuals into horrifying and dangerous entities. The infected areas become overrun by these grotesque beings, leading to chaos, societal collapse, and threats to humanity. When Day Breaks. When Day Breaks is one of the SCP-001 proposals within the SCP Foundation's collaborative fiction universe. In this narrative, the sun undergoes an anomalous transformation, causing sunlight to turn all organic matter it touches into a semi-liquid, fleshy substance. This results in widespread panic, loss of life, and societal collapse. Forbidden knowledge. The forbidden knowledge is discovered. A truth that people cannot handle leads to existential despair and the decision to end one's life. In such a scenario, individuals might come across knowledge or information that challenges their understanding of the world, existence, or the very nature of reality. This knowledge could be so unsettling, disturbing, or incomprehensible that it shatters their mental and emotional well-being. When faced with forbidden knowledge of this nature, individuals may experience profound existential dread, nihilism, or a loss of purpose. This could lead them to contemplate or choose self-destructive actions, including self-elimination as a way to escape the torment of knowing what they know. Revenge of the Fae. Revenge of the Fae is a scenario where supernatural beings associated with folklore and mythology seek retribution against humanity. If the Fae, a collective term for various mythical creatures, were to seek revenge on us, it might lead to widespread chaos and disruption, as the effects could include the manipulation of natural elements, emergence of magical forces, and a challenge to human understanding of reality. This could lead to societal upheaval, existential threats, and just the destruction of the world as we know it. Absolute sterilization. Absolute sterilization is a scenario that envisions a complete and irreversible process of eliminating all life, including microbial, plant, animal, and human life from a particular area, planet, or even the entire universe. If this were possible, it would imply that the total annihilation of all living organisms and the end of all biological processes. This could result in a complete lifelessness of a given area, planet, or the entire universe, as the effects would include a profound, eerie silence, an absence of growth or reproduction, and a complete end of ecosystems and food chains. If one were to discover a method to make this possible, it could eventually lead to the end of all life as we know it. Metaphysical collapse. Metaphysical collapse is a speculative concept that envisions the collapse or breakdown of fundamental metaphysical principles or aspects of existence. If this were to occur, it would entail the disruption of core metaphysical concepts or the questioning of the nature of reality itself, such as the destruction of fundamental truths, the emergence of existential crises, and the breakdown of established philosophical and ontological frameworks. This could lead to profound shifts in human understanding, beliefs, and even societal structures. The potential of world-ending consequences in the context of metaphysical collapse lies in the potential of existential despair and the breakdown of human civilization. If the very nature of existence and reality were called into question, it could lead to widespread chaos, a loss of meaning, and the collapse of societal order. Consecutive CP symmetry violations. I'm going to explain this one quick so it's not confusing. The universe instantly converts matter to antimatter and vice versa over and over due to anomalous manners. However, a small amount of antimatter or matter is not converted, leading to annihilation into energy, leading eventually to a YK class end of the world scenario. Basically, a piece of matter being mishandled by the universe and it just goes nuts and obliterates everything around it. As we end Tier 6, we are now entering Tier 7. Death of information. The death of information is a speculative concept that envisions the loss or destruction of all forms of recorded information, knowledge, and data. If this were to occur, it would involve the complete erasure of all human knowledge and the inability to record or transmit information in any form. The effects would include the collapse of education, the loss of cultural heritage, and the breakdown of technological infrastructure. This would lead the world without the accumulated wisdom of humanity and the inability to pass on knowledge or progress. Timeline entanglement. Timeline entanglement is a concept where the timelines of different periods or dimensions become interconnected or interwoven. In this scenario, the boundaries between past, present, and future might blur, which would lead to chaotic and unpredictable phenomena. It would create paradoxes, alternate realities, and changes the course of history. Our understanding of time would just get all out of whack, and it would make our lives in the world both uninhabitable and unintelligible. Graham Apocalypse, if you think hard enough, you'll get it. The End. This is an entry that references the Holder series. The central premise of the Holder series is that there are 538 objects scattered across the world, and they should never be brought together. These objects are said to have unimaginable power, and when united, they will unleash a catastrophic event or bring about the end of the world. The stories typically involve a seeker who embarks on a quest to find one of these objects, facing a series of terrifying trials or encounters along the way. In the Holder series, the consequences of collecting all 538 objects are typically shrouded in mystery and left open to the imagination of the reader. An anti-memetic pandemic that makes humans forget everything, including essential actions like breathing, has the potential to end humanity for obvious reasons. To sum this up fast, it's basically the reverse of a memetic pandemic, where instead we learn everything from one another and absorb all that knowledge and live by it. We instead forget everything and we just become empty husk of living organisms that don't even know basic survival functions. The Shy Guy. His face has been revealed. New spirit contamination. This refers to a hypothetical scenario where the collective human consciousness and thought, often referred to as the new spirit, becomes polluted or disrupted. If this were to occur, it would involve the introduction of harmful or destructive ideas, influences, or forces into the collective human consciousness. This contamination could manifest as the spread of divisive ideologies, misinformation, extremist beliefs, or other disruptive influences. And the consequences of such a contamination could include a widespread breakdown of societal norms, conflicts, and a deterioration of ethical values. The potential for this to end the world is pretty high, as if this were to happen, we could have many extremist ideologies put into the new sphere, or just violent beliefs, and it can make people go mad and make every single human become quite violent for absolutely no reason. We would tear each other apart. Liminal gateways. Liminal gateways is a concept that involves the existence of portals or thresholds that connect different realms, dimensions, or realities. Now, this can either be a good or bad thing, because through these portals and different realities, we can either find the ultimate alien race that decides to enslave us, or some of the greatest resources that could ever be introduced to Earth. It just depends on how lucky we are if we were to discover liminal gateways or access them. Omega K class scenario. I believe this is in reference to the SCP Foundation, and this is an event where nothing on Earth can ever die again, no matter the circumstances, but this does not stop people from aging, nor do they ever heal from wounds or diseases again. Eventually, we in the world ages into an endless hellhole of suffering. Retro-causal erasure. So the way to explain this is, if you remember how the quantum non-existence focuses on the parts of history that were removed, the retro-causal erasure is the parts of history that were supposed to happen but never happened due to the part in the past being removed. So everything that was supposed to happen after the quantum non-existence, that is the retro-causal erasure. Firmament falls. Firmament falls is a speculative scenario envisioning the collapse of the Earth's protective outer layer, the firmament. What the firmament does is shield the Earth from space's harshest elements, such as cosmic radiation, meteor impacts, and much more. A collapse would expose the atmosphere to these dangers, resulting in widespread climate changes, loss of atmospheric pressure, and increased cosmic radiation exposure, posing existential threats to all life on Earth. The Battle Cats and the Third Rupture are joke entries. ZK class scenario. This comes from the SCP Foundation, and this signifies an anomalous or apocalyptic event that defies human understanding and often leads to world-altering changes. The specifics of a Z-class scenario can vary widely, but the common theme is usually a profound existential threat that challenges human understanding, often involving reality bending or cosmic phenomena. Simulation corruption. We do live in a simulation, and although it's kept online and functioning, it's starting to break down and break apart our reality. Exophysical disruption. The embodiment of a concept, for instance of death or living, is either damaged or killed, permanently altering reality as we know it. So this is kind of saying, like, if the concept of living were to be killed or damaged, then we'd all just instantly die. If the concept of death were to be damaged or killed, then we would live forever. Universal paperclips. This seems to be in reference of a web browser game which is pretty popular. I don't know how this would cause the end of the world, or even like how to make a joke as to how a mobile game could do it, but maybe we all become addicted to it. With that being said, we leave tier 7 and now we enter the final tier, tier 8. Reverse rapture. The reverse rapture is a scenario where all humans are driven by a desperate desire to access a perceived better or more desirable realm beyond our own reality. This intense longing and desperation leads some individuals to extreme actions, such as self-elimination and much more, with the belief that these actions will enable them to breach the boundaries of our existence and access the sought-after realm. The final dogma. The final dogma is a concept often explored in the context of religious or philosophical thought experiments. It envisions the emergence of a final all-encompassing belief system, ideology, or doctrine that encompasses all aspects of human thought, ethics, and existence. In this scenario, the consequences would be profound and world-altering. If this were to manifest, it will result in the unification of humanity under a singular, all-encompassing belief or ideology. The effects could include the dissolution of cultural and religious diversity, the imposition of a single moral code or set of beliefs, and the complete transformation of societal norms and government structures. The potential of world-ending consequences lies in the potential of suppression of individual freedoms, diversity of thought, and cultural expression. While unity can be a positive force, the imposition of a single belief system or ideology could lead to the suppression of dissent, the erosion of individual liberties, and the potential of societal discord, upheavals, and conflicts. Divine decay. Divine decay envisions a scenario where the divine or supernatural forces that govern the universe gradually deteriorate or fade away. If this were to occur, it would imply the weakening or demise of the gods, deities, or cosmic forces that shape the world. The effects could include the loss of supernatural protection, the dissolution of religious or moral frameworks, and the erosion of the mythical or metaphysical aspects of existence. This could lead to existential crises, moral ambiguity, and the breakdown of established belief systems. The potential for a world-ending consequence would lie in the destabilization of the cosmic order and the potential for a lack of moral or ethical guidance. Without the influence of the divine, humanity may grapple with the loss of purpose, meaning, and ethical foundations. Tulpa invasion. Tulpa invasion is a concept that's usually explored in the realm of paranormal or supernatural fiction. This is a scenario where tulpas that are thought forms or beings created through collective belief and imagination manifest in the physical world and begin to exert their existence. The potential of a tulpa invasion ending the world lies in the unpredictable and often malevolent nature of these thought-formed beings. Their actions driven by collective belief could have catastrophic outcomes, including the collapse of societal order, environmental upheaval, and existential threats to humanity. Unhinged realms. This is a speculative concept that envisions the existence of alternate dimensions, realms, or universes that are unstable or chaotic. The potential method that this entry could end the world lies in the unpredictable and often dangerous nature of these chaotic alternative dimensions. Their instability could lead to profound disruptions in the fabric of reality, causing societal breakdown, existential crises, and the endangerment of human lives. Philosophical zombie apocalypse. A philosophical zombie apocalypse that involves individuals who appear human but lack true consciousness, emotions, or self-awareness is a concept often explored in thought experiments and discussions of consciousness and identity. In this scenario, the consequences will be deeply philosophical and existential. If the vast majority of individuals were indeed philosophical zombies, it would challenge the very essence of what it means to be human. The potential of this ending the world will lie in the profound disruption of human existence and the challenges it presents to the nature of reality and consciousness. Simulation takeover. This is a concept that imagines a scenario in which artificial or virtual reality simulation gains control over the physical world, or the inhabitants of the simulation gain the ability to influence or control the real world. The potential of this ending the world lies in the profound disruptions to the boundary between the virtual and the real. If the simulation or its inhabitants can influence the physical world, it could lead to existential threats, societal breakdown, and the loss of control over our own reality. Those which are not. Those which are not is a mysterious and cryptic concept that implies the existence of entities, phenomena, or realities that exist beyond human comprehension or the boundaries of our understanding. It often serves as a theme in speculative fiction, cosmic horror, and philosophical discussions. The way that this concept could lead to the end of the world is from the potential disruption of human understanding and the destabilization of the known universe, inducing all who witness it into madness. The Giant's Return. The Giant's Return is a speculative concept that envisions a scenario where colossal and powerful beings come back to life or return to the world. If these giants were to awaken, it would imply the emergence of ancient entities that could reshape the world themselves. The effects could include monumental physical changes to the landscape, the resurgence of mythological forces, and the challenge to understanding reality. And they could potentially do some serious damage to humanity, depending on how strong they are or if they're malevolent. And God's fury hath no end. This is a concept that envisions a scenario where divine wrath, often associated with religious or mythological beliefs, manifests without end or relent. If this scenario were to manifest, it would imply the continuous, unending expression of divine anger or retribution. This scenario could include widespread destruction, natural disasters, plagues, and the challenge to human understanding of God's will and benevolence. This could lead to societal upheaval, existential threats, and the destabilization of human understanding of faith and existence. Mathematical failure scenario. This is a situation where the mathematical foundations and principles that underpin the laws of the universe and the structure of reality begin to break down or no longer hold true. If this were to happen, it would lead to catastrophic consequences, including the collapse of physical systems, the breakdown of scientific understanding, and the endangerment of all life on Earth. The hatching. In this scenario, the Earth is a living being that is hatching from its egg. This concept envisions the Earth's core as a colossal, ancient entity undergoing a transformative process. If the core of the Earth is hatching, it would imply that a monumental sentient being does reside at the planet's core, and the effects could include enormous geological disruptions, shifts in the Earth's magnetic field, and a challenge to human understanding of the Earth's inner workings. This could lead to massive seismic events, environmental changes, and the breakdown of human civilization as we come to terms with a living world. Fury War is a joke entry, I'm sure you can put that together. Early universal birth. In the context where a universe is born adjacent to our own, early universal birth takes on a unique and interesting dimension. This scenario envisions the existence of multiple universes coexisting in proximity to each other. If a new universe were to emerge next to our own, it would challenge our understanding of the nature of the cosmos and the possibility of parallel universes. The effects could include interactions between the two universes, shifts in fundamental physical laws, and the exploration of entirely new dimensions and realities. EWW. This stands for Emu World War. Australia was only the beginning. And for the true final entry on the list, Brazil. Eventually everyone, everything, and all matter enters Brazil. With that being said, we have finally come to the end of the world Iceberg. I hope I was able to provide some value to you and you were able to enjoy this content. With that being said, have a great day guys, and of course I will catch you all in the next one. Peace out.